I think that's the biggest loss thus far. Like, his nails just dug into my skin.
You've got mail.
Hello, this is Moondice. If you're new around here, welcome. If you're not new around here, nice to see you again. Today we are seated just shy of a week after the zombies video, or when I filmed the zombies video, and I'm feeling better, not fully healed. Sadly, the human body's not working as fast as I want it to be, but I am here and I'm ready to talk about another Cinderella movie. I have not been doing my job in terms of ranking. Every single time I watch a video, I was supposed to put it in a tier list or like give it a number. You know, that was the idea at first. And every single time I film the Cinderella video, I am behind on schedule. So what happens is I make the video, I edit it, I post it, and I'm like, oh, I forgot the tier ranking, right? So I'm gonna have a section of me just clearing things up and letting you know where I see the current Cinderella movies that I've watched. You can check out those reviews as well on my channel. First disclaimer, this is subject to change as we watch more movies, because what if there are tiers I've missed? These movies are so good, so bad, so weird that they deserve a separate tier. But at the moment, what we have is Enchanted, which basically personifies the movies that are a bit more traditional, that have actual magic in them, and I feel like nailed them entirely. It makes you feel like you're in a fairy tale and believe in fairy tales. That's what that tier is for. And then the second one is similar because it's also really good movies, but I think they've taken a twist on what the story is and still nailed it on the head, and so I love it. But I put Enchanted on top just because who doesn't like feeling like they're in a fairy tale, right? Then we have Cute, which is just like that cute. I don't have much else to say about it. I'm not very angry, I'm not very passionate, but it was a cute watch. And then there's something missing about this is very clear within its name. It's a Cinderella retelling, but there's just something about this that's missing the mark. It's not giving what it was supposed to give, and therefore I give it there's something missing about this. And then we have No, which is pretty self-explanatory. No, I do not F with you. I'm fine. I could do without you, really. Don't really understand why you made it, you know? Do you even understand the art of Cinderella retellings? Yeah. So now I'm just gonna put the movies that I have watched in their appropriate tiers. I think Rags goes there because it's a good retelling with Cinderella as a dude, you know what I mean? And KK Palmer, Max, the songs, the iconicness of it all, and the nostalgia, it's going there. It makes sense that a Cinderella story goes to a modern day gem. I think the nostalgia on my side and just how good it is, 10 out of 10. Cinderella story, the one with Lucy Hale, I didn't enjoy it. I think it had a lot of the same things that Selena Gomez's Cinderella story had, but I never watched it when I was a kid, and it just didn't pique my interest. So I think it goes to there's something missing about this. Now let's get back to the actual review of the Cinderella movie, and I'll be back for the ranking. I have watched the Cinderella story before. I think I watched it a lot growing up because I was obsessed with the actor. And as I say I'm obsessed, my brain decides, oh no, you can't remember her name, Hilary Duff, because I loved her in Lizzie McGuire, and I loved her in the Cinderella story. And at the time, I think I found Chad Michael Murray like cute, which I think most people at the time did because he was seen as the heartthrob. I mentioned this in my other videos, but I didn't realize that all of these Cinderella movies were part of like a whole series thing, and I think some movies have still been released. We will be working through that series, rest assured. I usually give a synopsis of the movie I will be speaking about, but because Cinderella movies are sometimes exactly the same, just in a different setting, I think it's fun that we uncover it as I talk about the movie. So if you have your snacks and are ready, without further ado, let's dive into it. So the movie starts off with a narration by our one and only Cinderella, who is called Sam in this movie, and it's speaking about how she grew up with her single father, who has basically been her ride or die and made her feel like her castle, which is LA, was totally worth it. Then, because like most fathers in Cinderella movies, he decides that, hey, you and me being happy isn't enough. I need to go marry someone else. And that's where we meet her stepmother, who is played by Jennifer Coolidge. And God, I just feel like this is a great casting. With the news of like the new Bratz movie coming out and them looking at Kim Kardashian to play the antagonist is like, no guys, I feel like Jennifer Coolidge could actually do it and kill it, to be honest. Fiona, who's played by Jennifer Coolidge, who is the evil stepmother, from this point will be known as Fiona. Fiona and I have red hair. Fiona! At first, Fiona presents herself as a very demure and mindful woman. She's dressed a very particular way. She is very feminine, as some would say, and the dad seems to like it. She comes along with two other girls, but again, not an issue because he also has a daughter, and it's like, hey, more kids, more happiness. My daughter will have kids around her age to hang out with. I guess that's what his thought process was. But even on the wedding, you can tell that Fiona does not like Sam. She intentionally makes sure that she is not in the family photo for the wedding day. An earthquake hits LA and her father leaves to check on Fiona and he passes away sadly. And from that moment on, Sam's life is never the same again. There is no will. Our stepmother gets everything and a Cinderella is born. Her dad owned a diner before he passed away, which is also something that Fiona inherits and rebrands entirely. The thing about the diner that they highlight is that everyone there feels like family. Until this point, I think it's very similar to every other one, and I have no issue with that. If you're going to go and watch a Cinderella movie, expect there to be some common tropes within there. Fast forward to the future, and there's our girl, Sam. She works like a dog, day and night.
And I work like a dog,
day and night for this family, but there's no appreciation. And she pleads to the stepmom, can I take a break from working at the diner because I really need to study for this test that I have coming? And she's in the final year of like high school, so it makes a difference. She wants to get into Princeton, but she says this instead:
people go to school to get smarter so that they can get a job. You already have a job.
Which, oh, it's terrible, but Jennifer Coolidge's delivery up there, like actually her and the lady who played Sue Sylvester, who was the evil stepmom in the Selena Gomez one, are just top tier evil stepmoms because they're terrible. They're absolutely terrible. Because of the acting, charisma, delivery, you kind of there laughing and being like, damn, you bad, but you kind of funny too. An important thing to note is that they're currently having a drought in LA. So Sam gets to the diner and the manager, Rhonda, is immediately like, you gotta get out because you know what, you're writing a test and this doesn't make any sense. I was pretty shook by Sam's obedience, I guess, because I would have said yes and then not gone. Like, I would have aligned the details with Rhonda and said, hey, like, I'm not coming through, I have a test, tell them that I came through, you know what I mean? But she was like, nah, I'm going here, and she has to be forced to leave because she's afraid of the repercussions, which makes me wonder just how bad the stepmom is, but also what is Sam's character, because I like her a bit of a rebellious Cinderella. So out she goes after Rhonda persuades her to leave, and she picks up her best friend, who comes out of the house looking like this.
Anything is possible if you just believe.
I guess it's supposed to be a caricature of a black man, and he mentions that he is a method actor, but I was just like, I can't with you already, right? And thankfully, Sam says the same thing. She's like, bro, get back in your house. I'm not leaving with you just like that. And he comes back out and he's his nerdy, goofy, white self, which is how he should have come out of the house in the first place. I respect Sam for that because I didn't know what to expect considering the time it was released. And that's a true friend because she immediately saw how bad he looked and was like, nah, That's embarrassing. We can't do this. Arriving at school, trying to park, there's very limited amount of spaces available, and just as she's about to like park into one, someone swoops in. She's annoyed because it's the popular mean girls, because they're always popular and mean in this time frame, so you know it is what it is. And then she finds another parking spot, and at the same time that is swooped in and taken by our main guy. Surprisingly, the popular people do know her as like Diner Girl. The mean girls tease her, and the entire time her Prince Charming, he's just standing there like squinting and like looking lost, as if he's not complicit to the acts that are happening to my girl at that point. But she's unbothered, because despite her knowing how popular and attractive he is, she's not really into him, which I like that. Okay, you can recognize that someone's good looking and not be like, oh my god, I burn, I pine, I perish. She bumps into a fellow loser, and I say this affectionately, and he's kind of cute, you know? It's a younger Simon Helberg. I've never said his real name in like real life. I know I say that a lot. And then he starts communicating into an antenna, and I'm like, you know what? Never mind. You know, Sam can do better. Sam, better than me, sees all of this and is like, you know, Carter, you can tease him all you like, but sometimes fantasy or being somewhere else is better than reality. And then we find out she's been texting someone on the internet. The person she's texting is also meant to be going to Princeton, or wants to be going to Princeton. She clearly has feelings for him, and this is where our iconic meme is born.
Laugh out loud.
The person she's texting wants to be a writer and go to Princeton, but his father has his whole life planned out for him already. Considering that they've been texting for a period of time, it's like, can we meet at prom? And prom is Halloween themed. He asks extra nicely, but Sam is reluctant. Carter and Sam have a baseball sesh where they clarify a few things for us. One of which is that she is a tomboy. Very important, okay? And the fact that her and the Princeton guy have been texting for a month now. She's wary, which I get, because usually mean people in real life can go two ways, you know, well or not well. And because this has been her solace over the last month, I assume she doesn't want to ruin the space that has become comforting to her, right? Also, Carter asked the question we've all been wondering: why does she take Fiona's BS? And the answer is so simple. Fiona is her wallet to college. So all that time that she's working at the diner goes to her college fund, which technically she's paying for college, but of course that's something Fiona would lord over her head, considering that she is her guardian and the person who pays her. Kind of evil. It's a simple answer, it's a valid answer, but as an audience, as a person watching this, I don't think there's a way I could ever see her paying for it. And it comes in the name, evil step mom. Girl, lose the faith. But if she didn't have faith, what would she have? You know what I mean? She hits the ball across the field, and Austin is like, oh, that's impressive. As he says that it's impressive, he does it at like the comparison of like, I don't want a girl who can do this, a girl who does that. Oh, that's impressive. And I'm like, but why the hell are you with Shelby then? He then alludes to not going to the dance with Shelby, who is his current girlfriend, and instead going with someone else, which is our girl Sam. Austin's dad owns a car wash, and he seems to work there as well. And when Austin takes some downtime to just like look at like other colleges or at the mail, his dad is like, just a reminder, we've been planning your life since we were 9. Watching Austin again, I'm a very like hot-headed person, so I love you babes, I was just so shocked that he just listened to what his dad said. Like, yeah, he said, no, I don't wanna, but like, where's the spirit? Where's the like, I'm dangling like this fruit that you want in front of your face and I'm gonna snatch it away at any time because I am clearly like super talented and I can go to any college. Guys, I need some more vim. but obviously like they're also teens and they live under their parents' roof, and I think it's just fascinating to see when the teenagers are actually acting that way, because sometimes they don't. Like, they're like, I can do whatever I want. Sam is there to get her car washed, and so are her stepsisters, because apparently they have like a big crush on Austin. That's his name, if I haven't said it before. It's actually a tad embarrassing, because if they have been coming here as often as I believe they have, like, what do you mean there's no progress? Like, he should have already fallen in love with you by now. Her stepmother ends up wanting to see her, and the reason that Sam is at the car wash, by the way, is obviously to run a few errands for the family. And she's just like, hey, I want you to work the night of the dance. And Sam pleads, like, please, I never ask you for anything, because obviously this is the night where she's supposed to meet her Prince Charming. Please, just let me go. And Fiona's like, nah. She also says something pretty terrible, but again, it's delivered by Jennifer Coolidge, so it's terrible, but I laugh.
You're not very pretty, and you're not very bright.
Also, this just clicked, right? But the fact that she's been told that the only way she can go to college is by working at the diner which her dad owned before he passed away is definitely messed up. One depressing thing about working at the diner is it seems like people from her school seem to always be there, which, like, oh god, like, I need space. I know you're obsessed with me or whatever, and like I'm joking, but like, genuinely, if the place where I worked always had people from school when I was a teenager, I would be depressed. Because this is a movie, Sam ends up taking the orders for the kids at her school, and she has a little bit of a bite, you know, to the mean girl, because like, she's asking kind of ridiculous questions. Like, she's asking for food that's not possibly gonna be at the kind of diner they're at, and we see that she has a bit of a backbone, and it amuses myself as well as Austin, who apparently enjoys seeing his girlfriend get schooled. That's weird. That's suspicious. Austin asks to speak to his girlfriend privately after they've made the orders for the table, and she's like, anything you can say to me, you can say in front of my friends. And so he does, and he says, I want to break up with you. It's kind of embarrassing. Very funny though. And the cherry on top is when she asks if he's in love with somebody else, he says, maybe. Maybe. I genuinely cannot with his behavior. I admire his honesty, but what do you mean you said that straight up to her face, in front of her friends, in front of your friends? The bomb he drops definitely shocks Shelby as well as the rest of his entourage, and he's the only one who stops to think that he has to pay the bill for the food that they ordered and clearly are not going to be eating. Another interaction with Sam, but all the interactions thus far have just shown how deeply they are entrenched in each other's lives but don't really see each other, because it's not what you would consider for yourself, I guess. Sam is Sam, Austin is Austin. How does that relate to me? So, it's the night of the dance, and Carter comes into the restaurant. He's like, yeah, he's dressed up as Zorro, because I said it's like a dress-up dance, like a Halloween dance sort of thing. And he's like, don't tell me you're not going, because we just had this discussion. You said you're going, and now what is happening? He even enlists Rhonda in helping him persuade her to go, because who else is gonna get it done? And yeah, he's weird again, but I get one of my favorite lines from this moment.
Go ahead, girlfriend, do your thing.
Call me girlfriend one more time.
They go on a costume hunt, and we get our montage moment of her trying out different fits. At this point, almost all of these movies must have a montage of the girls like just getting ready to go to the dance, and I don't not like it. I hope the double negative means what I think it means. So after finding a mask, Rhonda is like, hey, I think I have a dress that will match this, you know. And they leave the costume store with nothing but their mask. They go to Rhonda's house, and she takes out this box, and this beautiful dress comes out. She doesn't explain much, but she does allude to the fact that it was supposed to be a wedding dress for a wedding of hers, and I would have never given it away, because first of all, it's a beautiful dress. Second of all, she's giving it to a teenager, and if you give something to a teenager, like, I just feel like you're surrendering it to whatever the world will give that child. So she gets dressed, and they make it to the party, and her entrance is phenomenal. This dress is timeless in some ways, and I think it's my favorite dress from all of the Cinderella movies I've watched thus far. As she walks into the room, she captures everyone's attention, and the plan was for her and her Princeton hottie to meet in the middle of the dance floor, right? So she gets there, and the first person she bumps to is Howard from Big Bang Theory, which, if you recall, is a bit strange. She thinks it's her pen pal and is ready to call it quits, which I think could be offensive in some ways, but in this way, he is a strange fellow. Like, he was doing strange things even there, and I don't think that that's everyone's cup of tea, and it doesn't seem especially to be Sam's cup of tea. So she's just like, damn, well, I guess we're gonna run it back. It was good talking to you while it lasted. Then Austin appears, and she's like, oh wait, that's actually my pen pal. And she's not happy either, which I love. He's like, I guess my costume doesn't do great at hiding who I am. And of course it doesn't. He has his face carved out and about for anyone to see, and he's wearing a phenomenal Prince Charming look, which means that they're matching, which is kind of cute. She gives him a chance to clock who she is, but I guess he doesn't see the resemblance. It also gets me thinking about the fact that I don't know if she would have been happy with anyone who came on that dance floor, because it would have had to be someone who's attractive at school, very low key, and they hadn't met yet, which I feel like it's too many variables, okay? And therefore highly unlikely. She can't imagine that the guy she's been speaking to, who has way more depth and wants to be like a poet slash a writer, is Austin. So after a little bit of back and forth, the night proceeds smoothly. He also finds the need to ask if she would like Big Mac or a rice cake, and she says a Big Mac, and he's like, that eliminates most girls already. And considering the time, I'm like, okay, whatever, but it has a lot of not like other girls moments, specifically because Sam is supposed to be like a tomboy and therefore a tad different from the women that the girls that he genuinely gets with. Carter, on the other hand, gets in a fight with one of Austin's friends because they are harassing Shelby and saying, now that you're not with Austin anymore, it only makes sense that we're together, despite her rejecting him multiple times. No means no. And actually wins, which is weird, you know, but I think it's like the power of the mask, the anonymity, right? And ends up making out with Shelby in some corner at the dance. They're about to kiss because it's a romantic ass moment. Even me, who at the moment is not impressed at Austin, is feeling the vibe between the two of them, right? But because it's a Cinderella retelling, it's at that exact moment that her alarm for the time she needs to be back or get ready to go back so that they don't get caught goes off. She runs off, and as she's running off, her and Austin get crowned as homecoming king and queen. Because this school is different, and the teachers crown who will be homecoming king and queen based on the looks, and it's obvious that she would have been queen because her look is miles ahead and he matches with her, so I get it. I would have voted for them too, but she needs to get out. So Austin goes on stage, right? And they're like, I think Cinderella is busy running us around because she needs to get home, okay? And she drops her phone on the way out. So there's our glass slipper of this movie. She gets her bestie and they get in the car and leave. So they put the pedal to the metal, or at least they should be, but Carter has his dad's, I believe, BM or Mercedes for the night, and so he's been super careful because apparently he's gotten his 2 other cars wrecked before, and because of that they almost get caught by the stepsisters. Thankfully, they arrive on time and safe, all in one piece. The only casualty is Carter's dad's car, and it's not even his fault this time, which makes me sad for him. He does get grounded by his dad, and the next day on arrival to the school, Sam and Carter see posters of her pasted everywhere as Cinderella from last night. And to give credit to this movie, I feel like the night of the dance she did look a bit different. Her hair is usually worn out straight, but on the night she has it properly curled, is in this outfit that highlights like how gorgeous she is in a different way, of course, because she's always gorgeous. And I would be like, hey, is that the same person? Except for the fact that he commented on her eye color, and I think her eye color, her hair, her build, and by build I mean height, you could have clocked who she was if you believed there was a chance that she was Cinderella. Also, shout out to the person who made the poster because they got their hairstyle to a T. Like, AI could never. Austin's friends are trying to dissuade him from whatever the hell he's doing because they're like, it's really not that deep. And he's like, nah, you don't get it. It is. Sam is good to let bygones be bygones and have that good night in her memories for the rest of her life, but not tell Austin who she is. On the other hand, Carter is like, you could have something great from this, knowing that he sort of had a great night as well with someone who is higher on the food chain in high school. He's like, okay, let's make a bet. If I approach Shelby, you will approach Austin. So he decides he's gonna do it because he's pretty confident. He approaches Shelby and her group of friends, and she's currently gushing about the night prior. She's like,
Oh my god, you don't understand. He was such a great guy.
and then he approaches and he's like, I'm the guy from last night. In front of her friends, which is it's so funny because she was like, you're jealous, and then I can see in their eyes the minute who they clock who it is, they're like, there is no jealousy, babes, there's nothing actually. She has to do damage control, so she takes it to the side and she's like, I was super sick last night, I had like cough syrup, or I was pumped on drugs, and therefore I did not know what's happening, and I think we should just forget about it. So bad. I feel so bad for him because that's so mean, but I don't know what more he expected, because one thing that frustrates me about this particular trope, and by this particular trope I mean like the best friend who is into like the mean girl or something like that, is that this person is harassing your best friend, someone who you deeply care about. They don't think highly of them and you want to be with them. Like, that's loser behavior. That's the real L, to be honest. We also find out that Sam has been accepted to Princeton because while her stepmother is rifling through the mail, she sees it and she's like, that's not gonna do any good. And she decides to hide it. Sam and Austin are still messaging each other, and they're doing it over laptop, specifically on Sam's side, because of the fact that she still doesn't have a phone. And I think that's the biggest loss thus far. Like, his nails just dug into my skin. Okay, I think it's the biggest loss thus far, but it's also a different time. So I think the MP3 player and the phone are definitely very up there in terms of, I wouldn't want this to be my glass shoe. Let it be something else, something that can identify me, because I don't want you to have the thing that I use in my free time / to communicate with people. She gets interrupted by one of her stepsisters who's like, hey, I want you to get my school report done by this time. Sam gets called by her stepmother at the same time, so she does exit her email in. She does set her laptop to the default desktop background, which most shows or movies they don't, which is like the biggest mistake you can ever do. So I will commend Sam and I will not blame her for this, because it's her stepsister who's a nosy ass person who goes through her things, finds the text messages that they've been having with each other, because in the previous one he did mention he was Austin, and her stepsister's like, I'm gonna use this information. And at the same time, the other stepsister sees her read it, is like, oh, and both of them run to the car wash. Unbeknownst to Sam, by the way. I'm tired for Sam, just hearing about her life, working, being a straight A student, graduating a year early, low-key being the house handyman, and everything in between. Like, take me out. I could not, personally. Like, nah. But I also know that college would be a piece of cake, because what do you mean she only has one thing to focus on? Like, she's going to be exceeding expectations in every department, and by that I mean her life too, because she deserves to live it. Okay. Austin has also made it into Princeton, and we find this out a few minutes before Sam's stepsisters come into his life, try to persuade him that they are that girl, and fail dismally because they don't know what she is missing, which is her phone. Actually, now that I think about it, should have been such an easy one for them to figure out, because the people who contact her the most are her stepmother and stepsisters for all the things they want her to get done. And I think she's been missing some of those calls, and they've had to reach out to her directly. So it's like, girls, like, you had the secret sauce, you had the mystery information, and you still missed. So they fight like children, embarrass themselves in front of everyone. But what's different? At the diner, things are proceeding as usual when Austin walks in. Everyone in the diner, who is her found fam, you know what I mean, are surreptitiously nudging her to speak to him, you know, and she does speak to him. And for the first time in the movie, the two of them have a conversation, and it's pretty good. So now that her stepsisters have ruined their chances, they're like, we're gonna ruin hers too. They print out every single email that they exchanged, show it to Shelby, and then they have this whole plan, and they're like, hey, say that Austin wants to meet his Cinderella at the end of the pep rally. And you know, our girl Sam would never usually do that because she's very cautious, but high off of the convo that they just had, which kind of gives her hope that he's better than she thought he was, she's like, okay, I'll go, and she heads off with Carter. The pep rally goes as one does until it doesn't, because the cheerleaders, as well as Stam's stepsisters, I'm so sorry, I stumbled there because I started getting mad, right, orchestrate like this whole play where basically they're insulting both Sam and Austin, but it's more of a hit to Sam personally, speaking about how Austin wants to go to Princeton, sort of alluding who he is by mentioning that his dad owns something big in the town that everyone goes to, and then with Sam going hard into the fact that she's just a diner girl, she's a nobody, and oh wait, that's the Cinderella, and he finds all of this out and he says nothing, and my girl Sam leaves crying. As if my girl was not hurt enough, her stepmom finds her at home in bed and is like, here's your Princeton letter, like it was in the mail. And she's done a good job at like now printing out a rejection letter, and Sam is defeated, and I would be too. It's like I just experienced the worst day of my life, and the only exit from this hellhole has been ripped away from me in real time. So now school sucks because every time she goes there, people are busy laughing at her. Austin is still hung up on whatever happened and does not text her back. The least he could have done is given her her phone, but he doesn't do that. Clearly, feeling depressed, she decides to speak to Rhonda, who tries to uplift her because she's going through a lot. And the diner, being in the state it's in, at the same time that they're talking, a guitar falls off of the wall and the painting peels, and a quote from when her dad still owned the diner was there, which seems to like uplift her, which I love, because you know, we don't want you to be down in the dregs too much, you know, like we want happiness for you, baby girl, baby girl. From that moment on, Sam decides to stand on business. She tells off Fiona. After telling off Fiona, she's like, I quit. And then when she quits, everyone else in the diner, who is her found family by the way, quits as well, because they were only staying for her because her dad owned it, and they know she's with a bloody irresponsible adult who actually has guardianship of her. Like, that's crazy. And all the customers leave as well because they're there for the stuff, not for the owner, who clearly does not care about the place. She is moving in with Rhonda because of her outburst. She doesn't have a place to stay anymore, but she was like, I don't want to live with y'all. And they were like, oh, where are you gonna stay? And Rhonda was like, obviously with me. So she's gonna be on her couch for a bit, and still feeling good / invigorated from what she did in the diner and telling off Fiona. She's like, let me go to school. Actually, at the school, it's the final game of the year, I believe, and she goes into the men's locker room to see Austin. She roasts him.
And even though I have no family and no job and no money for college, it's you that I feel sorry for.
And I love it. She bumps into Carter, who apparently went to the diner or to Rhonda to see her and found out what she did. And he's like, hey, I wanted to give you some moral support. And also he was planning to go watch the game because it's like the final game of like their entirety of high school. So she decides to tag along with him, even though he's just like, you know what, you can ditch if you want if it's like too much, because obviously Austin's gonna be playing in it. The game starts, right? Shelby, who is prime delusional, still thinks that her and Austin are gonna get back together. Like, it's not even about him having feelings for Sam, it's about the fact that she embarrassed him in front of the whole school, invaded his privacy, and still thinks that he's gonna be like, oh babes, I love you. BFFR. The game is set to begin, and Austin's dad is on the field. He's definitely a different front of Troy Bolton's dad. Sam eventually does decide to leave, especially when they start chanting Austin's name in the last leg of the game, because it's like the star footballer, and I guess like, oh, we want to bring home the win. But his head is not in the game. You see what I did there? Gotta get your head in the game. And seeing that Sam is about to leave, he runs off the field and finds her in the crowd. I love this moment. It was just my type of thing. And when he meets her in the stand and as they kiss, the drought ends, like, I still gushed at my grown age because it was cute, okay?
Austin, what are you doing?
Something I should have done a long time ago.
It's the magic, the music, the conclusion, the growth. As she's moving out, she finds the wall and her stepmom gets arrested because she was a witness to that wall. Bruh, like, that's insane work. I'm so bad again, sorry. So she sells the car for tuition. She finds out that she's actually been accepted through Princeton. She restores the diner to its former glory, makes her stepmom as well as her stepsisters work their dead off, I guess. Carter gets a job and the girl, which is not Shelby. A car seems to also been restored because it was always bougie, but they acted like it was a dump. And her and her boy are at Princeton together because obviously miraculously at the end his father understood him. It's not perfect, and I think while there isn't a POC sidekick, there is Rhonda, but she's actually a valuable character. She's the only idea of a good adult in Sam's life, and she's constantly backing her, which is why it makes sense that she's her fairy godmother in some sense. I also love how she said that the only reason she stayed at the diner is for Sam, which means she actively cares for her. And when Sam does leave, everyone's like, I'm out. The acting is pretty good. The casting is chef's kiss. Some of the jokes are a product of its time. Prince Charming is okay, and I think he does redeem himself towards the end, but more than anything, this is Sam's story. There is no prince coming to save her. She is her own savior, and as a bonus, she just gets a cute guy who I guess is now ready to tell the truth and be with her. I overall think it's a good movie because of all of these points, and I would recommend watching it. I think we all know which tier this movie is gonna go on for me. I think Modern Day Gem just makes the most sense. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Check out my other videos if you like them. Also, follow me on other social media because I do post there, I know, right? And I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did making it, and I'll see you next time. Bye!